Hello, this is Lauren Brantley Books, and I am here today with a review of The Long Walk by Kate Elliott. This is one short story in a longer anthology of dragon-related stories called The Book of Dragons. I wanted to talk about this story by itself because it's easily the best story out of the bunch, and I thought it deserved its own review. If you'd be interested in hearing reviews of the other stories in this collection, please let me know. Without further ado, let me summarize The Long Walk. Asvi awakens one day to find her husband has passed away, leaving her a widow. Asvi is an older woman, and while it's never specified how old she is, it's implied she's at least in her 60s. Far from tragic, the death of her husband is seen as a matter of fact. But his passing itself isn't what the story is about. It's about Asvi becoming a widow and what a widow's place in a heavily patriarchal society is. In this world, when a woman's husband dies, her relatives have to either pay a fee to the temple to spare her life or allow the woman to be taken on something known as the Long Walk. The Long Walk is a euphemism for being taken to the dragons, presumably to be eaten by them as tribute. In return for the regular sacrifice of widows, the dragons kill the demons that otherwise would plague humanity. Now, Asvi's son originally pays the fee to spare her life, and Asvi gets a certain bracelet that marks her as being safe from going on the Long Walk. However, later on, Asvi encounters another widow who wasn't so lucky and is going to be forced on the Long Walk. Asvi switches places with the other woman, giving up the bracelet of protection and going on the Long Walk. However, she learns that the Long Walk and the dragons aren't what they seem. The main theme of this story is the intersection of ageism and sexism. The story focuses on the harmful ways in which older women are treated by a patriarchal society. At the same time, through Asvi's life story, we see how girls and women of all ages are used by the patriarchy and ultimately commodified. Asvi was sold into her marriage in order to secure a place in the wool trade for her father and to provide money so that her younger brothers could follow their own dreams. Asvi's happiness was never considered. Asvi also has a lot of internalized misogyny too, and she has to work through that during the course of the story. We find out that young Asvi was offered the chance to become a sailor, but she ultimately turned them down because of a sense of duty to the men in her family. Because she was never taught to value her own happiness, she turned down a chance at a new life. The way the older women in this story are treated was genuinely hard to read. It was well written, of course, but that just made it all the more frustrating and heartbreaking to read. We first see Asvi be treated as a burden on society, that her son literally has to pay a fee to spare her life. Then during the mourning party for her dead husband, Asvi is utterly ignored and even gossiped about. This poor woman is treated more like a ghost than a living person. In fact, in Asvi society, a widow is considered legally dead. As frustrating as it was to see Asvi's mistreatment, we do see her inner strength emerge once she decides to go on the Long Walk to see the dragons. After so much mistreatment, it was nice to see Asvi make a decision for herself and get away from the people who mistreated her. The Long Walk is also not as it seems, and there's a big twist at the end about the true nature of the dragons. While I can't say much about the dragons because of the spoilers, they were breathtaking to read about. The other mythical creature we get to see are demons, and man are they terrifying. They aren't the horned humanoids you may think of, but instead they are acid-spitting monstrosities straight from a nightmare. I love seeing the descriptions of Asvi's cooking skills and the different foods she makes. Food is another big part of the story, and seeing the different meals and food prep was a big part of the world building of the story. Overall, the world building was strong, even though we don't get to see a whole lot of this universe, considering that this is a short story. We do get lots of details about the customs of this society, particularly where women are concerned. I love The Long Walk, and I think it's easily the best story in the Book of Dragons. I definitely recommend checking it out and reading the rest of the stories if you are at all interested in stories about dragons. I am Lauren Brantley Books. Please let me know if you have any suggestions of what I should review next. And if you would like to hear more reviews from me, feel free to subscribe. Also, a like on this video goes a long way. Thank you so much for watching this review, and I will see you next time.